If you have been finding yourself on the internet as of late, you probably know of this creator called Wizard Liz. And for those that don't know, let me just fill you in a little bit. Wizard Liz is a content creator who creates content for women. She empowers women to navigate relationships with high standards, with strong boundaries, and she really goes in. Hey, if you've seen her content, you know what I'm talking about. However, she was in a very public relationship with this creator, this man who's also a creator. His name is Landon, and apparently they were married. I don't know if it was a legal marriage or what the case here is, but there were talks of marriage, and she's now even pregnant, and he cheated on her 4 months into the pregnancy. And this has been a shock to Wizard Liz's audience. Like, people who consume her content are very shocked, but for me, I am not shocked at all. Firstly, she's just 25, I think, quite young, so that frontal lobe is only developing right now. And secondly, she comes from an abusive household, and that's why I'm creating today's video, not to shame Liz or her situation, because this can happen to anyone, not just 25-year-olds, even people in their 30s or 40s. When you grow up in an abusive household, for example, your self-concept is not the best, and that reflects in relationships. And similarly to people who were raised or were part of high control religions, that was also an abusive experience. So you have also been spiritually abused, emotionally abused, and for some people it's also physical abuse. So when you're an individual who has experienced abuse, navigating relationships can be very, very tricky. No one is an exception. No matter how beautiful you are, no matter how much money you have, anyone can fall victim to an abusive relationship. If you are an individual who has gone through an abusive situation, be it in your household or even a religious setting, you are susceptible to these types of relationships. So that's why today I've created this video where I want us to really unpack everything that went wrong in our relationships as people who have survived a high control religion, and how we can navigate, dating and falling in love, men, women, all of that. Let's get into it. Hello beautiful people, and welcome to my channel. My name is Monica for those who are new, and if you are a returning subby, welcome back guys. I welcome you all to the other side, a safe space we have created here on the internet for individuals who have survived a high control religion. We share knowledge, we share stories, we share anything that can help you navigate this very challenging journey, but very rewarding. Now today I want to talk about relationships, but I'm going to create a 2-part series. So today I want to talk about everything that we have done wrong when it comes to relationships as people who have survived a high control religion, including myself. So we're not going to shame anyone, we're just going to share the hard truth, and in the next video we're going to share some positive insights, green flags, all of those things. So let's get into the video. So this video is going to be broken up into 3 parts. So the first part, I want us to talk about limiting beliefs that we might have, that we have inherited from our religious experience. Then secondly, we need to talk about red flags. Red flags all of us, or most of us, have overlooked when it comes to relationships. And then lastly, we're going to talk about meeting our shadow selves. Yeah, it's going to be juicy. So as mentioned, we're going to start off with false beliefs that we inherited through our religious experience. At number 1, love is only for marriage. Now this is one that ladies, you know already where I'm going with this one, but a lot of us enter relationships with the idea that I want to marry this individual, or this individual is going to be the person who marries me. Now there's nothing wrong with dating with the intention of marriage, but there's everything wrong going into a relationship where you don't know an individual and you're getting to know them, and already you are planning a marriage. Yeah, everything wrong with that. Loving someone is not limited to marriage, and you shouldn't be entering relationships with that in mind, that okay, I'm going to marry this person. You enter a relationship with the idea of, okay, I'm going to explore here, I'm going to get to know someone. Basically, this individual is auditioning for me to see if they are a mate or a person that I can marry. So When you do that and you limit your expectations, you really have them low. And when I say limit your expectations or set your expectations low, I'm not talking about the standards that you have. I'm saying the expectations you have when it comes to marriage. When they are low, you do not put pressure on yourself, and you do not find yourself committing too quickly into a relationship because your expectations are low. Remember that. So you're just getting to know someone. You're trying to see, are my values aligned with this person? Do I like spending time with this person? And because your expectations are low, it also makes room for you to get to know other people guilt free. So yeah, do not go into relationships with the idea that, okay, I'm going to marry this person. And love cannot only be found in a marriage. There are different types of relationships. You need to find what works for you as an individual and not do things because you think society is expecting that from you. At number 2, obedience does not equal love, especially for women. Once again, when we were in the religious setting, a lot of us were taught that as women we need to be obedient when it comes to relationships. When it comes to our husband, we need to let them lead and we should just hear from them, basically, because we don't have a voice. Our brains are too small. Yeah, those are some of the stuff that these religions have said about women. So why women and men actually should be very careful about obedience when it comes to relationships is that obedience sometimes can be masked, for other dangerous things, where you have a partner who's very controlling, very dominating, very manipulative, and they are masking all of this with the expectation that, no, you need to be obedient because I am your husband. So for men, be careful to not be manipulative. Be careful to not be too controlling or dominating when it comes to your relationships. And for women, be careful of men who are masking their toxicity with the expectation of you being obedient to them. At number 3, we can't trust outsiders. These high control religions will have you not trusting people who are not part of the religion. They will have you calling them worldly people. And this is basically just to limit your dating pool. And this is my belief. Some of the most dangerous men on this planet are religious men. So if you have limited your dating pool to only these type of men, imagine the quality of men that you are dating. Quite low, I must say. Don't find yourself having this mentality of us versus them when it comes to dating. Be selfish, prioritize yourself, especially women. Know what it is that you want and do not subscribe to the ideologies that men have put onto women. This is not the time, baby girl. And then lastly, for this section, suffering does not equal spiritual reward. Oh no, baby. Like, religion will really have you out here suffering, going through the most, and you're thinking, yeah, God is testing me. God is protecting me. Really? Do you really think that God put you on this planet for you to suffer and go through all of this pain, all in his or her name, however you view or see God? Like, really? This is how people get to normalize staying in toxic and abusive situations. Do not ever find yourself normalizing suffering in your life and thinking that, no, God wants you to go through this. No, that is not the case. Suffering is never okay. In a relationship, in a friendship group, in a family dynamic, it's never the case. Do not let yourself go through pain all in the name of, I am preserving my relationship with God. Come on now. No. Okay, now we've gone through limiting beliefs that we had or false beliefs. We have to talk about red flags we overlooked. At number 1, emotionally unavailable people. You know that man does not love you. You know he doesn't. You know that man does not care about you, and you have mistaken his silence for no, he's just being stoic. He's just a very spiritually mature individual. Now, if there's something I truly did not like about growing up in a high control religion, is that it really had us not understanding what a spiritual individual actually looks like. We were told that if someone is very active within the religion, passing the mic, going on field service, preaching to people, and, this individual, giving talks, all of those things, that meant that they are a very spiritual individual. But now that we've grown, now that we have deconstructed, our religious experience, we understand that that does not mean an individual is being spiritual when they are very active in the religion. That just means they are very active in the religion. From a Christian perspective, if someone is very spiritual, they embody the fruitage of the Spirit very well. That's how you know someone is very spiritual. They are loving, they are kind, they are caring. Whatever the fruits of the Spirit are, I can't remember what they are, but anyone who embodies those qualities, that is someone who is spiritual. When dating, it's very important to have discernment. You really need to see an individual for who they are and break through illusions that you might have when it comes to relationships. Is this individual truly emotionally available for you or not? Secondly, we have to talk about people who lack ambition and purpose. Because if you do not look out for these type of people, you're going to find yourself dating a dusty. And a dusty is just a person who's going to drag you down in this life. They're going to use you for your money, use you for your gifts, your talents, all of those things until they have come up in life and they're just going to leave you. They're just going to leave you. So make sure that when you date an individual, your values are aligned. Have those deep conversations of where do you see yourself in the future? What do you want to achieve in life? And if someone tells you, I don't know, then you shouldn't know anything about loving them. You shouldn't know anything about dating them because they are telling you, I don't see a future with you. I don't know. And also be careful of people who are going to fake these values or having an aligned vision as you. Really sit there and listen to an individual when they speak. Do not hear what you want to hear, but hear what it is that they're actually saying. And then coupled up with their words, their actions. Do their actions actually show that this individual is someone who is ambitious? Are they aligned with their own values? Is someone saying, I want to be a millionaire, but they are not, running a successful business or trying to run a business, for example? I don't know what it takes to be a millionaire, but I'm just trying to give an example here. Or if someone says, I want to be an engineer, but they're not in university, for example. Or someone is saying, I actually want to, change careers, but they're not applying for positions, Just make sure that their values, their visions are aligned with you and also with what it is that they're saying. Are they working towards their goals and their aspirations? Make sure. And be careful of narcissists. Religion loves a narcissist. I think religion was actually made for narcissistic people, and it's a great place for them to basically continue to be evil, horrible people and just say, God will forgive me, I will pray about it. A lot of us were taught to accept manipulation, being gaslit, all in the name of this person is the head of the household or a leader. So be careful of these narcissistic people running around within religion. And some of them are out of religion or weren't part of a religion, I guess. But be careful of narcissistic people. They are very, very dangerous, and they're very good, some of them, at masking this narcissistic behavior, but it always comes out. Always. So know how to identify it. Remember, when you are dating, discernment is very important. And then lastly, at number 4 for this section is that a lot of us do not know how to communicate genuinely when it comes to a relationship. It's very important that when you are in a relationship, you know how to communicate. You know how to talk about your needs, your expectations, your boundaries, your standards. All of these things need to be communicated. And a lot of us who grew up in religions don't know how to do this. We were taught to just pray about it, tell God and God will solve all of your problems. But no. You need to communicate in a relationship. You need to talk to your partner. If you do not communicate in a relationship, you are setting it up to fail. Communication is one of the most important aspects when it comes to a successful relationship. Talk about your needs once again. Talk about money. Money is so important because a lot of relationships do end up failing because people do not talk about money. They do not know the financial expectations that their partner might have or the financial goals that their partner might have or how their partner spends money, saves money. All of these things are very important. So when you communicate in a relationship, you're able to talk about all of these different things. So if you can't talk about your needs, if you can't talk about your wants, your expectations, how are you going to talk about money when money is so important when it comes to a relationship? So open and genuine communication, very important. Now let's cover the last part where we talk about our shadow selves. Now again, this is not to shame anyone, but it's to get a better understanding of who we are as individuals, to heal and make better decisions. Now at number 1, a lot of us did over nurturing and oversharing in a relationship. Ladies, you are no man's mother. Do you hear me? You are not supposed to nurture or mother any man when it comes to a relationship. You do not have to prove your worth to anyone. Do not date people trying to fix them or with the expectation that they will change. The person that you are meeting is who they will be for the rest of the relationship. In fact, they are going to do less, because in the beginning of a relationship, we want to, attract someone. We want to show that, okay, this is what it's like to date me. So all of us are kind of putting our best foot forward. Like what you're seeing in the beginning of a relationship, that's the best. That's the best. So do not try to fix people. Don't find yourself in that position of thinking that you can nurture someone to love you. You are not their mother. No. Secondly, do not confuse attention for love. A lot of us who grew up in high control religions and abusive households or in past abusive relationships, we lacked a lot of validation. And it's very important that before you step into a new relationship, you work on your self-concept. You work on how you see yourself as an individual. You do not need validation from anyone, because if you find yourself needing validation from an individual, you are going to mistake attention for love, which is never the case. Do not mistake crumbs for connection. Do not find yourself in that position, please. And then lastly, do not rush into commitments. This speaks to the very first point of do not mistake love for marriage, because if you go into a relationship with the expectation of I am going to marry this specific person, or the next relationship I'm going to marry that person, that's the wrong mentality, because you're operating now from fear and loneliness, basically. And that's why you are rushing commitment. You are here to explore and meet different people. And if it leads to marriage with that specific person, then it leads to marriage with that specific person. But you're not going to rush a relationship or commitment with someone because you feel like, oh my gosh, I am running out of time. That is a lie. The whole idea of a biological clock, a lie. My mom had me at 39 years old. That's when my mother had me. So ladies, this idea that at 35 you need to be settled, married, you have time. There's so many people who have children in their 40s, for example. So do not feel pressured to rush a relationship, guys. It's very, very dangerous out here. My last video, we spoke about gender-based violence. Don't rush commitment, because when you rush commitment, you overlook a lot of things. So in conclusion, I think we are all really getting to see the picture and realizing that our religious experience really set us up to fail when it comes to love. We were never taught how to truly date or how to truly seek a partner that we can marry and live, a happy life with, a life of contentment, a life of success, abundance. We were never really set up for that. So it's very important to have discernment when it comes to a relationship. But as mentioned, this was just part 1. So in the next video, we are going to learn how to unlearn, rebuild, and open ourselves up for real connection. And guys, I am holding your hands as I am sharing all of this content, because I'm in the same boat as you. Like, navigating dating is very daunting and scary, especially when you come from a high control religion or an abusive background. Like, that's why I say we shouldn't be shaming anyone, because it's very challenging. And the most important thing you can do is work on yourself. You can't change another person, but you can change yourself. You can work on yourself. So these videos are definitely intended for that. So hit the subscribe button, hit the like, and definitely hit the notification bell. And I will see you all in the next video or part 2. Bye.